In today's video, I'm going to be sharing our boring strategy that made us $7 million in the last 92 days. We're going to walk through the 3 different marketing funnels we have and how they connect and the stats behind them. We're then going to walk through the 3 different sales sections we have, how those connect and the stats behind them, and then the 3 different fulfillment stacks we have and how those connect and the stats behind them. All right. I'm going to keep this very simple, but go into a lot of detail. All right. Last year, we did $30 million in our info coaching business. We've now crossed $76 million in total cash collected, and I'm not selling you anything. Everything on the channel is to share what did work for us, what didn't work for us, and what we are actively doing to scale to $100 million a year, all with the goal of finding top talent for our company, opportunities, and networking with cool people, building cool shit. All right? So first things first, Stripe screenshot to verify this through yesterday. So you can obviously see an uptrend here. We'll have these down ticks on weekends and a lot of just coming randomly, honestly. But yeah, we're hovering around, call it 100 to 150K a day over in these ranges back here. So the 3 different funnels we have, I'm going to walk you through the actual flow of it, and then we'll get into the stats. So the 3 main funnels we have are going to be a VSL opt-in funnel, a direct to application funnel, and a low ticket ascension funnel. Okay. So for a VSL opt-in funnel, it's going to be your classic send Meta or Google traffic to an opt-in page, and they're going to give us their name and email, and then watch to get a free training. The free training is going to be a VSL page that has just the video on it, and then the application, the click to the CTA on it is going to wait until in the VSL when the call to action is in the actual video. Okay. So then it's going to pop up. There's a ton of emails and a ton of stuff around the back of this. I have other videos on the channel you can watch. Today's day 96, I think, in a row of making these videos. I have a ton of videos that go in depth of automations and SMS and all these other crazy things. But just for this quick overview, they will then go to an application. On the application, there is a financial qualifier inside there that will route them either to the main booking page or the disqualified booking page. Okay. There's technically a disqualified bridge page, and that is if the calendars are full. Okay. So on here, if let's say we have 0 availability for tomorrow and someone is DQ'd, they're going to get sent to this bridge page that will push them to this other funnel, which I'll go into soon. But a majority of the time, most of the traffic is going to be qualified. Go here. Some of the traffic that's not is still going to be allowed to book. It's just going to go to either ramping reps or lower quality reps. Okay. And then we do that just to cook the pixels and keep everything right there. Right. So they're going to book into here, and then they're going to land on a success page where they're then going to talk to a closer and then be sold and, purchased, get their terms, all that kind of stuff. Okay. So that is going to be funnel number 1. Now, the reason there are 2 right here is because we actually have 2 that are performing really well for us right now. We have our original funnel that we've done, 71 or 2 million directly through. And then we have this other one that has a different opt-in page and a different VSL for a different messaging pocket. Okay. So, imagine something like one of these, dropship guys, for example, like they have one that is around XYZ messaging and then one is around the other, but they're selling the same thing, right? It's the same product that they're selling over the phone, but they have different messaging funnels. Like one is about branded dropship, for example, and one is about US supply. Okay, let's just say this is as an example. So different messaging pockets that have different language and messaging for these. Okay, now to go a little deeper into that, we actually have 3 more that are in the queue. This is our best funnel that we've had. The reason this is the best funnel for us is because we do so much around consumption, and this has a lot of intention points versus something like this next funnel right here that I'll go into. But for us, this has worked really, really well for us because we have so much that exists within the email automations and campaign blasts and content that exists for middle and bottom of funnel. Okay. So we will email them nonstop, send them to the website. They exist in the flywheel of content, or a web of content that they will, watch this one, then this one, then this one. So that has worked really, really well for us. All right. Now, on the next funnel, we're going to have DTA. So for us, DTA is direct to application. Some people call this direct to VSL. But for DTA, you're going to send the traffic directly to a page that's going to have a headline, a VSL, and an application right on page. Some people delay this, which is pretty common, and then other people just make it instantly available. Either way, generally speaking, it is going to be a lower cost per app, lower cost per call, because it is easier and there's less friction. Okay, because you're sending them direct to this page, and they can essentially just like instantly do it. Now, because of that, you'll have less consumption, and you will also have more people that bounce too that you can never other than just retarget to them because you didn't capture their email. The first capture point you have is the application. Okay, they're going to go through the same router and then go through the same back of funnel. Okay, where they can book either DQ or main. or get bridged out if there is no availability on the calendars, which is actually pretty rare for us because we have so many reps and so much availability. And then this last one here is going to be our low ticket ascension funnel. So this is going to be direct traffic to a front end sales page. So it's going to be a long form sales page where they basically put in name and email to start the checkout process. There's going to be a low ticket, something that's under $100. They're then going to land on the checkout page. Once they land on the checkout page, it's the full, purchase. They will purchase. And then the big difference here from a lot of people, what they do with low ticket and why I'm calling it, ascension more so, is because as soon as they purchase, they get pushed to book an onboarding call. So it's basically onboarding, quick start, implementation, whatever you want to call it. They will then book into this and get on with a setter. Okay. So we have run this in the past where they go direct to closers, and it has been very messy where a closer has, this someone with this framing and expectation that lands here versus someone with this that's, booking an implementation or quick start or whatever. So we did layer in a setter in between, and this has been crushing for us. Okay. So they will directly book in with a setter, and I'll go through the stats on all of these in a minute. Then once they're on a setter, they'll get set with a closer, all the intentions there, the framing, the qualification, everything, and then they get on with the closer and close. Okay. We do also have this page right here, which is post-booking. They will get asked to submit a questionnaire. It is not required, and we do see that people who fill that out have a higher likelihood of then being set or closed. But again, that's just kind of like an optional piece. So those are the three core funnels, and that's how they connect. Now, again, we have multiple variations of this, and just as like a kind of future pacing. So over the last 92, right, what we've done is essentially lean into both of these because we were running just one main on here. We've optimized this out where we had 3 different ones that we were testing. We've now landed on one that's like mainly working for us, and then this has like 92 different split tests and variations. It's constantly up and down for us, and we're actually trying to solve for this in a very different way, where we're trying to make it more cold friendly so we can run this at mass scale versus right now, call it, I don't want to give exact numbers, but call it 50, call it 100, whatever units a day, and we're looking for something we can sell hundreds of units a day on. Okay, so right now all of these get traffic, all of these get spend, and then they all work interchangeable, and then what our CMO calls the VVS, the value vortex system. Okay, now stats on this, just quick. I'm just going to pop over here because I have all my stats up over here. But we're going to say on across this range, we had around 75,000 leads, call it. We had around 20,000 applications that come through all of these different buckets. And then we had around 12,000 calls, 11,000, 12,000 calls. Okay, we'll just use that as a number. So from that, again, consumption is going to be biggest here. And if I pop out, I have a funnel economics sheet that kind of breaks all of these down. But the app to call percentage, so is going to, or let me back up a little bit. So for the opt-ins of these people that are going to come to here, we have a pretty high rate actually that go from lead to application. This one is direct application, so obviously there's no data for this one, and this one kind of doesn't count for that. But we have a pretty high, like multiple tens percentage that go from lead to app. And on this, we're optimizing for schedule and purchase. It's kind of like a throttling between the two. On this, same thing. And on this, it's just optimizing for the purchase. And as they flow through here, we've seen that like a very, very high percentage of people are touching multiple points of these. Okay, so they will come into here, then they will exist in this system, be getting a ton of emails, see an ad, and then get into this one, and then route into these. And then same with this. This will kind of pick up people. The almost issue with this that we've had thus far is that not almost all, but like call it 50% of the purchases that'll come through here are already existing in our CRM. We have years and years and years of people in the CRM, so it's not to say it was like, yesterday they saw this and then they purchased this. There are some of those, but a lot of them are people who have existed in the system, haven't bought something from us, and then book into these. Okay, so getting to this next portion, setters. So setters will have auto, confirmed, and self-set. Okay, these also have different commission tranches for those of you that operate, but essentially an auto set is going to be considered one of these calls. Okay, so where we are automatically putting a booking on their calendar. These are 15-minute Zoom calls that we'll set with them. Okay, so that's an auto set. A confirmed set is basically them claiming these. Okay, so the ones that come direct through marketing or basically everything that's not a set that is auto on their calendar or a self set is going to be considered a confirmed set. So a lot of people call these marketing bookings. They're technically everything bookings, but those are what exist here. And they will call, and they'll call within 3 minutes. They will confirm, hey, this is XYZ time zone. It's a Zoom call, XYZ, all these different things, okay? So that's the confirmed set, which is essentially just like a triage or confirmation. And then a self set is going to be everything that exists where there's a phone number. So for a simple example, application not booked. So somebody that falls off in here. So they apply, but they don't book, which on average for us is, call it 40% of the applications on day. So if we got 100 applications, 60 of them are going to book on their own and 40% are going to fall through the cracks. And that is a bucket one, let's say, that the self set's going to hit. We also have them from this phase that do DTA but don't book. Then from there, you're going to have, there's like 90 different versions of these, but then you're going to have people who don't show for the call. You're going to have people who don't show for the set call. You're going to have people who purchase the load ticket but don't book into this call. You're going to call that 30-40% that don't book on this. So same thing, if you have 100 people that purchase the low ticket, you're going to have 60 or 70 that'll book if you're crushing it, and then you're going to have 30-40 that fall through the cracks. So all of these are going to have automations that exist, but they're also going to be layered in with setters. So we have AI bots that message in between these and then also push them back to the setters. So that is kind of setter land, right? And then I'm trying to think if there's any other direct buckets, but it's basically that and then pushing backwards. We also have something on booking page that has it. So if there's no times on the calendar that works for the person, they can submit a form of when a good time for them is. And the setters get those, and they will reach out to those, and those are considered self sets as well. All right. Now closers are just going to exist over here. I almost built this out to be like massive and show you the different things, but essentially calls are all going to come into the CRM as call scheduled, and then there's 9 different ways that they can go. They can either be a no-show, a cancel, a complete DQ, like there's just no way, closed won, closed lost, hot listing, long/midterm nurture. So there's a bunch of different things that exist within here, but the closers are just working their pipeline. They're getting full booked. We just now changed this on around here, as you can see, like the downturn. We changed it over to be 45-minute booking slots, and this whole time it's been 30 forever. So a lot of just 30 back to back to back to back to back. But the issue is a majority of the closes exist outside of that 30-minute range. So we're trying to optimize for making the calls long enough, but also understanding that show rate is a real thing, and having back to back to back calls where there's no shows breaks the frame and breaks the roll there. So retention, I kind of want to come back to this as it exists for these fulfillment, but a retention exists over here, right? So that is after they've already gone through the program and product, and when there's inflection and main points, they will then retain them or get them into the next year or multiple years. Okay. So fulfillment stack. So info and community, and I have a whole chart on this. I'm going to make an entire video of how I view fulfillment or product offerings, everything from one-to-one with the expert all the way down to the very bottom, which is essentially just info, just as it is without a community, and how the different value stacks, how you can charge different prices. But for us, right now in this stack that you're seeing here, info plus community is going to exist right here. So this is going to be a sub $100 product that they get info. Okay. So they're getting login access to something. They're learning XYZ thing, one specific module or many modules that back out of essentially the coaching. And for us, we're going to sell that for sub $100. And then they also get access to a group. Okay. So for us, we do our Facebook groups we do our groups in Facebook. A lot of people use WAP, School, whatever. Our demo is majority, or our Circle or some of these other ones. Our demo is majority on Facebook, just for who they are. So we keep the group on there. So that'll exist there. One-to-one coaching is this main offering. So everything that we're going to sell on this initial sales call is only one-to-one coaching. We have one offering, multiple pay plans, financing, sure, all that kind of stuff. But it is one offer. Okay. And the reason I say less margin is in comparison to group coaching. And I have other videos where I break this down, but on the initial stack for when you're selling this, you have to think about what goes into the cost to fulfill this, as well as the cost to, acquire a customer. So the acquisition piece, you're going to have your marketing spend. You're going to have your sales commissions, you're going to have your setter commissions, you're going to have management, you're going to have all those different pieces that exist there. You're going to have your entire ad spend bucket plus marketing department bucket. And again, you can kind of pick where you choose where these sit on the P&L, if these are supposed to be lower or above. But directly to acquire a customer, you need to pay a sales rep, a setter, you need to pay your ad spend, and then you need to pay for the fulfillment of this. So you're going to pay a coach, and in a one-to-one setting, it is likely going to cost you more than it is going to cost in a group setting, because one coach can only work with X amount of people. So you're going to take that coach's salary or amount or whatever, and then however many clients they have across the year, and that's going to be your per unit cost that it's going to cost you to fulfill on this. Okay. So we are going to have less margin on this just because of that stack, and where all the real money is made is going to be in this retention portion. All right. So retention retention is going to exist for us is something we are constantly, or just newly, but now going to be constantly adjusting to where we can refine this, because we had a leaky bucket for a long time. We really should have focused on this earlier, and we didn't. And in doing so, we let a lot of money slip through the cracks where we paid a lot to acquire a customer. We got them in, we got them results. We fulfilled on the contract, which was the year, but we didn't frame it in a way that then was, this is a continuation, this is a forever thing, and they should get another year of coaching, or we didn't have any other offerings, okay? So that was the thing that we just rolled out. So beginning of this month, we rolled out a group coaching style thing. It's essentially you come in, you join in one-to-one coaching, right? So you have one-to-one coaching. That is the personalization. That is everything you need to get you from, basically existing in no man's land to being on structure and getting in XYZ result. But then after that 1 year, your offerings that you now can get through the retention team is essentially keep staying one-to-one coaching, either with your current coach or a different coach. So stay on that one-to-one. Or we now have, you can go multiple years for a discounted per year rate. So if you want to go, okay, cool, I want another 3 years, 2 years, whatever, you can do that at a discounted rate. So pushes the cash forward, locks them in for multiple years, which is great because honestly, a lot of these women in our demo and our target, like they do need to be in for multiple years in order to kind of like fully sustain and set in, and just have the personalization, the accountability, the one-to-one, that piece. Okay. Now, if it is too big of a cash burden or whatever, but they still want to stay for the community, a bit of personalization, the access to the app, all those things, we didn't have an offering for that. Okay. So now we've rolled out group coaching that allows us to have less cost per to pay a coach, right? Because they're going to have multiple, there's no one-to-one, right? So there's no direct messaging, there's no one-to-one calls, there's none of that piece. So the fulfillment is lesser, but the person still gets access to all of those things they want to stay for. So they get access to the community, they get access to the app, they get access to the workout, they get access to all of these different pieces for a lower cost. So for us, it's actually half the cost. So let's say this is $10,000, this is actually $5,000, right? So it's half the cost for the year, and we also have monthly options, different pay plans. Now, I think this is going to crush for us, and it is really framed as like the lifer program. Like you're just in this for life because you get to stay and get all access to that, and you also get the group coaching aspect. So when you do need help, you can come into here and still get the personalization. It's just in a group setting instead of getting on one-to-one. All right. So that's kind of the stack for us. And the stats kind of behind that, I'm going to do like a full video where I go through like all the literal nitty gritty. But I pulled them up over here just to kind of give you some like rough ones off the rip. So for let's go back up to this top. So for us, what is really good here, let's start with setters. On setters on here, so the different buckets of auto set. So auto set is our highest stats. So auto stats will have 80 to 90% show rates, which is like crazy in our world. So 80 to 90% show rates once they get to the closer. So once they exist between here and here, we'll have an 80 to 90% show rate, and call it a 20 to 25% live call close. So the economics on this crush, the issue for us right now is solving for getting this cost per purchase lower, okay? Because of how it's framed and because how it's set up, it's not cold friendly. So it is not producing at the rates that we want it, or we're not getting the net CPA that we want on this. So we can't scale into it, okay? So that is something that exists right here as an issue, but all of the stats on this are fantastic, okay? So the current bottleneck on this is solving for here. Okay, so that's what we're working on now. There's also other things on here that we're solving for that kind of feed into this a little, but if we were to isolate this, that's that one right there. Okay, now confirm sets, these ones are landing at around a 75%, which is amazing. So a 75% show rate and a very solid live call close. And now the thing for us here is the percentage of confirmed books. Okay, so like let's say you have 100 bookings on day. For us in current state, only half of them roughly will be confirmed. So while these ones have a fantastic show rate, the ones that don't confirm either need to be set as free and then they can get double booked on the calendar, or they need to be reached out to multiple times. But it's an issue that we're having where the solve for this right now is trying to get a higher percentage of the bookings confirmed, because once they are confirmed, then the stats right here are amazing. Okay, so bottleneck on this one is getting more confirmed. Self-set, interestingly enough, this is the lowest show rate we have. So this is people they're hitting that are in this app no book or some of these other zones and buckets. And for us, it's just you're basically getting more bookings for the same amount of spend, right? So you do obviously then layer in the cost of having a setter, but this is your dial 100, get 5 pickups, set 1, whatever math. And this is something we need to work on, right? We need better dials. So the bottleneck on this one in current state is basically getting more more sets for the amount of leads that we have. So, which is increasing the dial rate, which is better framing on the calls, which is, better connection rate, all those things. So we're looking at different softwares and ways that we can manage this team in a better way to get more sets that come from the setters, like directly the self sets. Okay. Closers. This one we are optimizing for right now, as the bottleneck on this right now is the live call close. And that is an issue with where we were having missed opportunities. The call length wasn't good, the admin amount, the follow-up time, the even time to have the follow-up because of how packed their days were, all those kind of pieces. So that's why we just attempt number one is to move them from 30 to 45-minute bookings. So that is our, proactive solve number one. We're trying for this bottleneck. And then retention. So retention team, their bottleneck right now is mainly the frame in which people are getting onto these calls and the time of it. So for us, this is new to us, where we're trying to force book these calls for retention. We're doing it 60 days before the end of the term. And I think what we need to do is probably layer in more activation points. So we're doing an entire data overhaul that stores all this stuff and has activation points or peak points of their happiness and their success in the program, so that we can, basically reach out and have conversations with them on the peak moments. But for us right now, the other piece of this is the framing that exists within the coaching and how they were sold is really on this one-year contract. And then multiple people have been sold on for last year, were sold into 24-month payment plans, either through credit card or through whatever different ways. And that is massively hurting retention because they come up to the completion of, the program set, and because of how they chose to finance it or because of how it was pitched to finance it externally, they still have payments for the next year. So it's very, very low likelihood that they will retain. So we're doing different things here. We're also talking about doing different offerings that would make it so this makes more sense. But yeah, so that's kind of the pinches on these. Within marketing itself, we are testing multiple new VSL opt-in funnels, and I think these are going to crush for us. We have different brand faces that we're going to be testing. This DTA is not getting really any love right now, but we're testing doing some delayed button pops. So there is forced consumption for, call it 5 minutes or 15 minutes or whatever, before they are even able to apply. So seeing kind of where those stats shake out. But this almost, again, acts as a not purposeful, but retargeting asset. And so does this. So really this is the core. So that's why we're optimizing on these right now. Inside of fulfillment, the Info Plus community, this is going to be likely rebuilt as a new product that we can have. It's not just framing it differently. It's going to be building out a complete new product stack that we can use for low ticket. The one-on-one coaching is crushing for us. They get crazy results, which is honestly the most important part. But we just need to get the math to be a little bit dialed in a little better. And then this group coaching piece is brand new to us. So fulfillment is new to us, as well as kind of the offering. So we're just navigating that. So hopefully that was helpful. I can go into other videos where I go deep into the stats on the percents across these. But I feel like I just gave you a lot of them. But yeah, so this is what our focus is. This is how we did. And really the boring strategy is essentially just more of the same. So we're just doing more of the same, just iteration, optimization, and more of the same. So get something that's at 10% and get it up to 14% and then do more volume. Really is what this is. It's not a simple, this is a simple business model, very simple business model. So it's kind of boring sometimes just to, keep iterating the same stuff, but that's the point, right? That's the point. So building it into a machine that's consistent, that continues to build. So hopefully that was valuable for you guys. Today's day 95 or 96, I believe, in a row of making these videos. You can find them all at www.ryanclogg.com/doc. I break them down: tech, marketing, sales, ops. In the beginning, I was very, very heavy into deep nitty gritty of what we were doing, how we were doing it, in review, everything from funnel setups to sales comp trackers to how we even do the comp, stuff like that. So there's a ton of detail in a lot of these videos. So if you want to go binge, be happy to. So, all right, that's what I got today. So hit me up on Instagram if you have any questions. Is the best place to find me. Comment below. I love the comments. They're funny as shit sometimes. So hit me up there, and I will talk to you guys soon.